Hello. Saber, I have no fucking idea what goes on in your head sometimes. There's random shit like that happens, and then you'll give me like a huge lore dump that I was never asking for. I don't know what happens in people's minds. Arapina, that's an American fish. I don't know. You're catching me at a very awkward time with my brain. There's multiple things going off, which is like, so the first thought in my head right now is, am I tired? I don't know if I'm tired. And then the second thought going off in my head, because one of the things, like, you don't see this with my character, because I did not ask for the model to be, made with this kind of characterization, but I grow facial hair and what have you, like, but it takes fucking forever to grow it. So I'm not a huge fan of, like, shaving or anything like that to try and, like, grow facial hair or what have you. But yeah, for whatever reason, like, right now it's like, I don't know, like a good, like if I really try and stretch it, it's like half of index finger length or something like that. And I do this thing where I just like stroke my fingers through my chin. And a part of me is just like, damn it, I kind of want to shave this shit off because I don't exactly like I don't know. It's distracting me for whatever reason. It's a thing that I don't want being my stim. The whole like, stroking and twisting like the chin hairs or what have you. It's just like, yeah, hand just like sort of sitting up there. Also, we're back to the PNGTuber because I play this game. It's relatively intense. My CPU, if it like cannot handle this video game and like, doing the streaming and all that kind of hype, I only trim mine down to stubble. Maybe that's what I need to do with mine. Maybe that's what I need to do is like, instead of getting a razor, getting like a trimmer. But the thing is that, like, I feel like I never set it to a good level, because, like, the trimmer I have, like, it's really easy to have it change from, like, from a 1 to, like, from a 6 to a 2, or a 6 to a 1. So, like, at the end of the day, I'm just sort of like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get the shaving cream, and I'm just gonna shave it. I cannot deal with this shit anymore. Also, Zeebs, it's official. Jack Black voicing Steve from the Minecraft movie is gonna... Yes, I've seen the trailer. I will be real with you. If it wasn't for the fact Minecraft was such a huge fucking, like, IP and such... Like, if it was just a throwaway line deep into the film or some shit, I think it would have been funny. Instead, we get it in their second trailer of, like, Jack Black, who plays as Steve, or he's just like... As a child, I yearned from the mines. And it's just sort of like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, the whole, like, oh, the children yearn for the mines didn't even come from Minecraft. It came from, I think, Bricky making a reference to Frostpunk, because there's a mechanic in that game, a fucking city builder, where you're trying to keep everyone alive by mining coal and shit. And turns out the best way, like, one of the things that will happen is the option to either educate your children, which, puts in an little extra cost on you, but also, like, slightly increases, like, the longevity of your populace. It's either that, or you have them go to the mines, which means you get more raw resources, but the mortality rate is lower because, the children are going to the fucking mines. Fucking crazy. So yeah. Also, like, I just don't get films coming, like, ugh. I just want to be in my comfort zone. Like, I am 20 days away. I'm 20 days away from going on holiday. So that's so like, I'm basically, 3 weeks away, and I'll be on break, which will be fantastic. I get paid next week, which is actually really good, because holy shit, I got bills coming up, and I've made a mistake with my budgeting. I fucked up on my shake purchase, because there's two plans that I can go for my shakes. It's Opti Slim and OptiFast. OptiSlim is the Australian cheap brand. OptiFast is slightly more expensive. Not that much in the grand scheme of things, quite frankly, because it's like, you know, the difference is like $1 per meal versus $2 per meal, so it's not that big of a loss. And yeah, so the OptiFast stuff tastes a lot better than OptiSlim because they actually like do like a powdered milk thing without it being like a huge increase to your calories. Whereas with the OptiSlim, it does the nutrients and that's it. It is a bit, it's not that great of a wrong controller. It's not that great of a shake. And I thought I was being a smart Zeebs and purchasing through like Chemist Warehouse or something like that for discounts, and I didn't read the packaging correctly and I ordered the Opta Slim instead of Opta Fast, which means I have like the not so great tasting. I cannot do that for another 20 days. I am going for the Opta Fast. So I had to basically spend twice on shakes and what have you. Thankfully, they don't expire for like a long while, so it's not like a purchase of like, oh no, here goes like a month worth of shakes down the drain. It's like, no. These shakes I can hold off, so like I can maybe have it so when I come back from the States, I can go through the Opta Slim, like the cheaper, more disgusting kind of thingamadoogies. And when I get through that supply and it gets into like, I don't know, late January, early February, I can move back into the Opta Fasts that I've been having a lot more enjoyment with and what have you. So, but yeah, fucked up on that one. Highly recommend if you ever go on a shake diet, go for the OptiFast. OptiFast is a better option, just first and foremost. You're gonna have a wonderful time. Anyways, what else has been going on? Another work from home day for me, which is kind of cool. Apparently I've been getting like a little more sassy at work. Like during our team meeting, do you have your driver's license and have you ever had a car? If yes, what car did you have? What the Dragon, what? Excuse me? You trying to like fucking bot me? You're trying to figure out like some, you know, very important details to be like, ah, yes, we are going to, you know, hack into the GrantZeebs account, and I think the information I am looking for is going to be reliant on his driver's license and then leading into his car that he preferably uses. First and foremost, I do not have a car. It is expensive having a car. I am a Zeebs who has lived in the city for quite a while, and let me tell you, living in the city in Australia, it is not a good time having a car. And considering majority of my time in the university or, you know, high school, I've been like always walking or cycling distance away from the excuse me, walking or cycling distance away from blah 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 blah, if my, you know, if I can remember my things. Brain. Being walking or cycling distance away from anything, car doesn't really sound very enthusiastic to have. The fridge. No, we weren't talking about the fridge. Wait, Sir Dragon, what the... What is going... Do I... What? I'm just gonna sit here for a minute. I'm gonna read through chat again. And I'm gonna, like, try and suss out, like, what the fuck you're talking about. Our opinion is an American fish. Okay. Joking around, you know. Okay. Okay, yeah, no. So, clarification. walking and cycling from home to university, or in this case, public transport from home to and from home, to and from work. Having a car is a huge like increase in my costs and what have you. I'm sorry, but you're never going to get away from 50 cents public transportation each way. I don't have to pay for parking with public transport. I don't have to pay regio, I don't have to pay insurance. And the only times that a car sounds like, you know, such an important thing is like, oh, what if the public transport doesn't get you into that area? It's like, well, then obviously I use an Uber then, because the amount of savings I've made by having public transport as my primary source means that I can spend money on the Uber or on other things that I want personally. And then comes the question of, oh, but what if you need to move a lot of stuff? Then you get a moving truck. Like, that's the thing, is that, like, by removing something, like, because let's be real, like, Jason, you have a car. How much are you spending on gas a week in a car? You're spending, like, $40 or something crazy like that. And that's just on, like, gas. That's on the fact that you're using it. Then there's, like, you know, a couple $100 regio, which obviously you have to, you know, hold aside for a year. And this is all assuming that you're not paying off the car, or that you're not having to do any maintenance on it either. Because if you do yeah, $40 a week. Yeah, I'm spending 50 cents a day, like 50 cents a ride. I am spending, I'm spending $4 to $5 a week on public transportation right now, and it sounds like that we're just gonna keep that kind of thing forever now in Brisbane, in Queensland. So, yeah, my transportation cost, like, considering how little I travel, like, outside of going to and from work, getting a car is just not beneficial for me. There is very little benefit for the amount of cost for me to have a car. So, yeah. The only reason a car would be good is if it's like, oh, I can now travel to places I wouldn't normally on public transport because it might take too long. Or maybe I'm carrying so much more shit than I'm usually comfortable with on a public transport. But I'm gonna be real with you. You spend $50 a month-ish on petrol. Yeah, so it's like, it's not even a guarantee that it's only gonna be like $40. Like, if I'm being, like, critical, if you... Wait, it's $50 a month. Hang on, so Jason's like $40 a week. Sir Dragon's like $50 a month. Jesus, what the... How often are you driving to and from your things? Also, did I... Hopefully this is the right one. But yeah, you spent $50 a month on petrol. Okay. Still less than me on public transport. And then that's... Yeah, alright. I don't really have anything else on my brain anymore. I kind of want to just play Dragon Age at this point. Lord knows, there will probably be something. Also, game. Hello. There we go. Look at him. It's Manfred. I wish I could say hi to him, but the game doesn't want me to acknowledge the help for whatever reason. And look at him. He's just a dude with fucking gem in his eyes. Like a modern-day millennial. It's just a 1,000-yard stare as he's doing, like, the barest minimum.
Before I left, Myrna and Veilguard asked if we could assist with an outbreak of hauntings across Thedas.
Uh-huh.
They also mentioned displaced wisps in the necropolis. I'm not sure what's frightened them, but it bears investigation.
Hauntings and scared wisps? Let's look into it.
Thank you. We'll depart for the necropolis whenever you're ready.
Sounds good. Alright, well, before we do that, I do want to pick up new exploration level, the Necropolis Halls. Okay, cool, so they've got, like, open world maps for us to explore, but I am not going to do that right now. Also, I went and changed my character again. I've made him bald, like, you know, almost, like, clean-shaven and very short hair. Don't worry. He's gonna change again. He's gonna go through something of a narrative arc. You saw him with, like, the crazy, like, slightly longer hair and such, and shadow.
It's a woman named Tosh from a group of Ravani treasure hunters called the Lords of Fortune.
Uh-huh.
Sounds promising.
An agent for the Lords said that Tosh is working on a mission for them along the Ravane coast. If we help her, she'll be free to join us and fight any blighted dragons the gods throw our way.
What's happening in Rivian?
What do you know about what's going on in Ravane right now?
Rivane, sorry.
Not much more than you do. Varric and I never went there while hunting Solus. The Kunari were on pretty good terms with Ravane, but that was before the Antam military broke away from the rest of the Kun. I wouldn't be surprised if the Antam invaded Ravane like they did Treviso and Eastern Tevinter.
All right. Guess we'll be ready. Thanks for finding a contact. There can't be that many professional dragon hunters around.
It would have been cool if we had, like, Iron Bull, but... yeah.
We'll head out whenever you're ready.
Sounds good. It looks like this place is kind of built, like, added a more stuff to it. It's a little more natural now, so good on you, Harding, for having a little more taste in your little area. Yes, I'm still a mage, Sir Dragon. Still a mage, because, like, whenever you play these fantasy games, as much as it, like, would have been probably a good idea being, like, a sword and shield guy, being a mage, just, in the last game, it offered you additional dialogue options, and it's done so for me as well. The Dragon Slayer. Traveling to this quest will direct you to the Rivane coast. Alright. So, first and foremost, let's get Scout Harding and Davin with us. We need to improve, like, Davin and Harding's, like, you know, relationship thingy-majiggy. As much as I would love to have, oh, hang on. Oh, okay, so we need to pick. Alright. So, when I went for Emric, I thought, like, using Lucanus would have gotten me, like, some additional dialogue. It didn't. I think the thing is that, like, you know, Balara was the person responsible for, you know, helping us get Emric, so it should have been me with Balara. So, because we're going to the Lords of Fortune for the Rivane to get this Lord of Fortune lady, I am gonna go with Harding, because Harding is the reason why we're able to, you know, find this person. So I imagine that there's gonna be a little more sense for them to come along with us, rather than, you know, Emric or whoever, so. Also, hi there, Masonic. Welcome to the stream. I don't think we've ever been to the Rivane coast before. So... nice.
Hey.
That looked painful.
That looks painful. For them.
Yep.
You must be Tosh. I'm Rook. Here to help any way I can.
The Lords want to hit a cave on the coastal cliffs. Big Vincimer makes her lair there. We get her out, the Lords get in, we go home and get drunk. Might be more on Tom. Don't get in my way.
Okay, so this is a no-nonsense Qunari, I see.
Nice.
I remember the Iron Bull wasn't so much nonsense. She's a little more Sven and the Talva shot from Dragon Age 2 than,
I set bait. She
you
comes
know,
out to
Iron
me.
Bull from
Partners loot the well while
Inquisition.
she's out here. We'll find the bait on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
You said the dragon we're dealing with was a Vincimer.
Yeah. Blue with a yellow belly. Breathes lightning.
Oh, one that breathes lightning? I've heard stories.
We're not fighting her. Lords just want the...
Hello there, Crash Pone. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing alright. Welcome, welcome. Hey, there we go. We're able to just make that leap. Or we could have, like, run along that cliff. Alright. But yeah, welcome, welcome. Using the PNGTuber because this game is a little bit intense and I cannot use my 3D model and hand tracking while going through this game. It's no loss for me. I get to enjoy this game as is and, you know, just relax a little bit more.
Be ready. They go hard.
Although I will be real with you, I feel like it does...
Watch yourself. They
it does like hamper like, you know, the yay, cool, they are vulnerable to the whatsamahoozies. It does hamper like, you know, me trying to attract other people to my streams and what have you, cuz this week has been a fairly low like it's been a bit of a low like attendance of like viewers and what have you compared to it's been a bit of a lower attendance than normal for words, come on, for viewers and what have you. And I'm not too and I think it's because of like a mix of, you know, some people just aren't interested in the 4th game in Dragon Age, and those who are probably already playing it themselves and are a little bit busy and do not want to be distracted by me playing it.
Sure, I wear a lot of stuff. You don't get to tell me who I am. Doesn't matter anyway. The Antom don't follow the Qun either. Not anymore.
So what made you want to work with us?
I don't.
I thought you wanted us here to help you.
No.
Okay, right at the get-go, we're not exactly having a really great relationship with you, Tarsh. I thought you would be totally up for this kind of shit. Also, hi there, Crashpound. But you don't look it. You sound absolutely annoyed. I thought you were going to be a little more fun going, or maybe, you know, just really headstrong. I miss Iron Bull.
We're not fighting the dragon?
No. Vincimers eat big game, usually sea life. They're not hostile unless you do something stupid.
Like, poke around in its lair?
Right. So we lure her out, then the lords go in and grab anything shiny.
But you do kill dragons, right? You're a dragon hunter.
I kill them when they need killing. This one doesn't.
Very matter-of-factly, this woman. I don't know if her and Lucana's would ever, like, catch on. You don't slay dragons. Oh. Alright, let's see. 6 mana on kill. Honestly, I do need that mana, so... Because I don't get a lot of it. I only have, like, 3 entries. Alright. Climb over. There we go. Another pouch of resources. You lay them. Of course you do.
Beach is up ahead.
Right.
But this is Dragon Age. We fight dragons.
Find us. Come on.
How is the bait gonna find us? Look, deep stalkers!
Knew they'd find us.
The deep stalkers are the bait?
Yup.
Why are you making me feel sorry for them?
Quite a few of them.
Dragons have big stomachs.
That one's big. Watch out.
That's their pack leader. Take her down.
They're hitting us from afar.
I think that's the last of them. Now what?
Now I get the fire going and make our dragon dinner.
Oh, cool. Nice. That's the joke. Noted.
Good. She'll like it. And this potion will put her to sleep for a few hours. But we gotta get her attention. Use the horn up there. Come on, she'll be here soon.
So we held up our end of the bargain?
You did okay. So, what do y'all do?
Right now, we're trying to take down evil god monsters and their blighted dragons.
What? That can't be right. Dragons don't get blighted. They're smart enough to avoid that crap.
However it's happening, the gods are using the blight to force dragons to attack people.
That's messed up. Somebody needs to stop them.
That's the idea. That's why you're coming with us. If you'll have us. Alright. This-a-ways. I'm guessing this is the... Oh, Jesus. Alright, open that. There we go. And use the horn. And the horn doesn't actually hit my lips. It's just a weird thingy.
Atas Kari.
Uh-huh.
Where are we headed?
That old Grey Warden fort. Anton might be there. I want to see what they're doing. If it's anything the Lords of Fortune need to worry about.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
She responds to the horn?
This time,
You've fed her before then?
took a while to get her used to it.
It sounds like you've got her trained.
You train a dog. You reach an understanding with a dragon.
I don't know, it still sounds like training. Like, I get it, dragons can be fairly smart, and they're probably, like, fairly emotional creatures and what have you, but there's not, like, an understanding as in, like, you know, crazier... Oop.
Better in the water.
Oop.
They cut the surface like a knife.
Damn it.
They swim?
They dive down after prey like a giant bird. Sometimes they stun schools of fish with their lightning. Gulp them all down in a single bite.
Uh-huh. Alright, well... Open this. Grab that. Fey-touched ore. What does this read? Day 4. Clear weather. Warm and humid. More traces of gold in lower stems. Tomorrow we'll attempt to climb upper cliffs. I believe a major load may be near. Have seen Antom again, but it's easy enough to avoid them. Sounds good. Ah, goddamn you. Yeah. But yeah, work buddies... we have our team meeting. We have this every morning and what have you. The idea is that we're able to have a little chat, like, between those that are, like, working from home and those in the office, either on any tickets that we need to go over or anything like that. But it's also, more often than not, on the emptier days, being a day of, like, oh, let's just shoot the shit and what have you, and just, like, have a little banter before we get into the actual tickets. So there was banter on this one, and I don't know how, but I was apparently, like, sassier than normal for them. Like, I would just, like, hit them back with, like, sass or quips, and I was just being very matter-of-factly with a lot of them. The Antama writes outside. If they find me, tell me. The remainder is soaked in blood, too much to be illegible. Damn it. Well, that person died. That's a problem. Can I go behind the waterfall? No, because once again... Oh, hello. There is something behind the waterfall. It's just a really small fucking gap in the waterfall. Shame. Yeah, okay, that was just talking about the thingies. But yeah, so... Don't know what was up with, like, how I could be seen as, like, quote-unquote, more, like, sassy and just, like, blunt. Don't know how I would have done that. Alright, pure ore. Come on, game. You can... Alright, so we don't want to drop down to there. We want to instead... Oh, there's the dragon again.
That was close. Maybe too close.
Letting us know she sees us. Might also be her way of saying thanks for the food.
Someone built an entire fortress and then left it empty?
This used to be a big Grey Warden outpost.
Probably...
They left after the Darkspawn stopped coming.
I imagine the Grey Wardens were also kind of... Here's the thing. The Grey Wardens are very similar in kind to the Crows, the Black Cloaks from Game of Thrones. And I remember hearing, like, something about the Crows where it was like, oh yeah, they, Fun fact, they did have, like, way more outposts, but then there was, like, the potential danger of them, like, taking over a kingdom or something like that. And so, like, the Seven Kingdoms were like, yeah, no, Black Crows, you are not allowed to do that. And, you know, they went through, like, this whole war or some shit, and then next thing you know, it's just all... Okay, so there's 2 knights here. There's a giant chest there. Oh, hello. Alright, so right, left, and back. Alright, so I'm guessing that's the quote-unquote puzzle. So from left to right, they facing right, facing left, facing back. Easy enough. So facing... So yeah, so that's facing right. So then this faces left. And this faces back. There we go. That wasn't there previously, so we climb up this. And it gives us pouch, weave, pouch, and a giant chest! A griffin helmet. Yeah, that's kind of okay. I was hoping for more lightweight gear, but, you know, you do you. Ooh, okay. So I do need to go back down there because that's where the pulley thingamajiggy is. Yep, that's where the zip line is, and we need to take this zip line. I don't think that was him up there, so that was just a weird camera pull.
Yep, that's the on-tom.
Let's check inside the fort. I want to see what they're doing.
Yeah, let me just set up like a... Oh, Jesus. There we go. That way we have a means of, like, doubling back in case there's anything more to explore. Because this feels like could be an open area. Also, how is my, Alright, so CPU is sitting at, like, 75% right now. Memory is at half. GPU is at 60. So it does seem like it is a CPU issue if I try to do my hand tracking in 3D nonsense while playing this game. That's a shame. I don't imagine there's, like, another CPU I could go for that would be a higher performance than...
Shit. More on top. You're not even supposed to be here.
That's room for you.
Weak dust people? I'll show you weak dust people!
Chiangi.
Looking.
Looks like there's plenty of chests below.
Outpost after the Grey Wardens abandoned it?
Yeah. Ravane and the Canary were at peace forever. Then the Antom broke away from the Qun and invaded. The Canary builders are part of a different caste. They didn't break away.
Can you do that?
So they
Tash is currently unable to use
Antom
this.
take over old forts like this instead of building their own.
Well, the Antom is just smart in that capacity. You don't want to waste logistics and resources on building new things if there's abandoned ones you can clearly use. The Antom are not idiots in military, it seems, but I am curious as to why they broke away, because if the Antom were useful in this regard, then, you know, there's also perfectly good sword. Like, can I not pick you up? No, I guess not. But yeah, like, I'm curious why the Antom broke away from the Qun, because this isn't the first time they mentioned it as sort of matter-of-factly, because they make it sound like as if, like, you know, it was the Qun's military that broke off, which means that there's now a split between the military might of the Qunari versus their religious and, by that extension, government body. So I wonder what the dealio is. Your instructions are unchanged. Use the nets to bring the dragon from the sky and the grapples to tie it down. Do this and win glory for the Antom.
Grapples, nets. The Antom are going after the Vincimer.
Is that bad? She can deal with that, right?
Not after I drugged her. Come on. They've been watching. They knew I drug her to make her sleep. Assholes!
Mm-hmm. There we go. I hate shields, honestly. I do not know how I would have taken on that as a, what's-mahoozies, as a, I wouldn't know how to take that on as a rogue slash, actually, no, I think the rogue I would just, what's the word? Flank and do a reversal. Orders came from today. We're abandoning the fortress. No more darkspawn, too expensive to maintain. I can't believe it. Worse, Tops were reassigned to Bloody Ferelden, and I'm being sent to Weishelp. I don't know what I'll do without them. It's been Tops and Mel since the joining. Bloody hell. Bloody Ferelden. Warden Mel Karavu of 633 Steel. That's not too far away from when the events of because Origins went off during 7, which I believe is Dragon. Like, that's our current age right now, is the Age of the Dragon. Nope, you still are not going to help us with all those. It would have been helpful if you could, right at the get-go, but apparently not.
Nice moves.
Ow.
Excellent form, Rook.
Thanks, but still got my ass handed to me. I don't have a good technique for the shields, and I do need to fix that. I also need to figure out how I'm able to hold more potions. Because I can't keep just holding on to only 3 and then, you know, pray that there's more pots around. I want to hold multiple, so then that way when I'm in a battle arena, I can hold on to, you know, more spare before I use up the ones there. Also, I see you, giant thingy-majiggy there. And then, alrighty, so... Oh, okay, I see how they... So, they want me to get up to, like, some sort of tower thing that's, like, up there, and then make my descent.
They haven't seen us yet. We can run.
Hey!
Or you can do that.
I brought her down. She's mine by right.
Makara.
Mara Namra Benari Bala. Atash Martarost, Asitarala. Kuto.
Yunasibishidam.
Oh. Okay. That's...
Come on!
When? Wait, like, is that a Kuhn thing, or is that just, you know, I'm gonna have questions.
Take it to him.
Awesome, we leveled up again.
So, you breathed fire.
Yeah?
But how?
Were we supposed to know this? Because I don't remember you mentioning it.
Me neither.
We can talk later. Let me know when you're ready. I'll burn the chains off the dragon.
Does she know we're trying to help?
No, she's pissed.
We don't have to fight her, do we?
We can run. I don't think she'll chase us.
Well, she's not gonna... Is she gonna... I don't think she's gonna let us do the explosion and fire stuff, so I think we're gonna have to actually, like, go through her quest, and then we'll come back to this place during an open world segment or something.
As one dragon flew off, now safe to finish its nap, uninterrupted, another was about to wake up. The surviving Antam poachers carried news of a fire-breathing Kunari back to their leader. Tosh and the team would soon find themselves being hunted by the Dragon King.
That's fucking spooky. I'm gonna need to read more about the Kunari.
While you played with the big
Oh!
we looted the shiny stuff from her cave. So, Rook, Varric's talked about you. I see he wasn't making shit up this time. They call me Isabella, among other things.
What did you find in the cave?
Okay.
Dragon shit, gold, some fancy trinkets, and this.
Okay, so Isabella is actually from Dragon Age 2, and she stole some Kunari, like a Kunari, like, artifact or some shit. I think she stole a book that held a portion of the Qun, and she was gonna sell it for a lot of money. But the problem is that the Kunari that were there, stuck in fucking Kirkwall, were never gonna leave unless they get it back from her. Even if you try to convince her, hey, you should probably give up the book to her, she's not gonna give up the book. And what ends up, so unless you side with her, she will fuck off from the city. And next thing you know, like, she's taking the book with her, and the Kunari are gonna try and take on. Yeah, so turns out, hi there, Arya. Isabella is the leader of, like, the Lords of Fortune or something like that, and they're like stealing shit. Is that magical?
It almost looks like a rune. Does it do anything?
Shit, I hope not.
It conveys knowledge. While not as impressive as a magical explosion, it can still change the world.
Neat.
Rook, this is Shathan. She's our expert on Kunari artifacts.
Hi.
This piece predates the Steel Age by centuries. It comes from an earlier attempt at settlement. One that left no survivors.
Most likely because of diseases, I imagine.
You used your fire.
What? No.
Were you seen by the Antam? You promised you would be careful, Evatosh. You need to be away for a while. It is good you are joining Rook's team.
I'm what?
How is that a surprise?
Wait, were you not aware of this? Our contact here said you'd agreed to join us.
Didn't Shathan... I thought you and your mother had agreed on this.
Nope.
Whoops. Well, you'll work it out. You always do. For gold and glory, Tosh. You're welcome.
I will be real with you. Some of the redesigns of characters and what have you, some of them are good. I know that they're doing this to, like, try and, you know, not make everyone feel samey when they, you know, decide to create another character that might be mechanically similar. So, like, they've obviously done Isabella up in this fashion, so she wasn't just seen... Because, like, you saw Isabella, like, back in Dragon Age Origins, and she was so fucking dull. And then they did her a better way in Dragon Age 2, and I loved her look in Dragon Age 2. This one in Dragon Age Veilguard, I like the top half. I like what her hat with the the bandana that she had, because that's very similar to what she had in 2. The hat is a nice addition. The top and the shoulders are a bit of a, I can kind of, like, you know, take it and leave it kind of thing. But, like, putting the rest of the ensemble of, like, you know, the top and the bottoms, I'm just sort of, I don't know. It doesn't speak to me of the swashbuckling duelist. It speaks more to, like, someone who decided to, like, look at South American, like, culture and South American, like, you know, oh, if they were to have, like, a navy, so to speak, and this is what they decided on. I was like, I don't know, especially since they've inlaid her with so much gold. Hi there, VTuber Error, welcome to the stream.
Business with you.
Mother.
Like,
What did you do?
I thought you would enjoy
Tosh and Shantan I'm fine with these designs. I know some people have issues with the Kunari and their like head look and such like that, but like the Kunari that we saw at first were back in Origins, and Sven had no horns. And they gave them horns to make them way more fantasy in Dragon Age 2, and everyone's like, why the fuck does Sven not have horns? And then comes the fun thing of, oh, there's a small percentage that Kunari can be born without horns, and they're usually destined for greatness. And it's like, okay, that's kind of cool, but yeah, they kept changing the designs.
Rook, you will keep her safe.
I'm gonna be real, the Kunari from Inquisition and 2, I very much like their design. The design here, I don't know. I feel like it needs more time for me to, like, you know, mellow with it.
Your mother doesn't mince words. I like that.
Yeah, she's a lot.
Anyway, welcome to the team. Might not be what you wanted, but we could really use the help.
I'll get my stuff.
So.
Hey. It is.
Sorry?
Joining your team. It is what I wanted.
Okay.
Glad to hear it.
Alright, so we're obviously gonna need to, you know, peel back the layers of that onion first before we have some proper fun with her, I imagine. More likely, I am going to keep on using Emmerich and whoever the fuck else I want on the side. I like your main character, by the way. Thank you! I've updated his hairstyle a little bit. I'm gonna have him go through, like, hairstyle changes through the arcs.
They worship elven gods for power? Hypocrites. But it explains why they pushed so hard into Ravane.
And I, unfortunately, talked over the little thingamadiggy.
With this, Demeter's Crossing and the Blighted Dragons, and everything else we're all dealing with, feels like we're at war. A lot of little wars.
That's reassuring.
So instead of one giant fight, we have a lot of smaller ones. I bet that won't make things any easier.
The gods have made bargains with the worst people in Thedas. Offered them all power. And it's not as though the Antam or Venatori will care about the price.
So how do we fight back then?
We don't have an army, but we do have allies. Like the Veil Jumpers.
After Demeter's Crossing, it's personal for them.
The Crows, particularly after we help save their city.
Thea and Viago know what is owed. They will make good on that debt.
Also, Lady Morrigan requested a meeting at the Cobbled Swan in Minrathous.
Could she have found some trace of the gods?
Probably. Morrigan doesn't visit crowded taverns for fun.
Oh, Davrin. He's our Grey Warden for this game.
Something strange is happening with the Blight there. I bet it involves the gods.
The First Warden didn't seem impressed the last time we met.
I heard he told you to piss up a rope.
Will he be in the wetlands?
I don't keep track. But he can't stop you from asking a few questions, if we're fast enough.
Any details on the Blight in the wetlands?
Antoine said he didn't write it down.
Why not?
Either he didn't trust someone else wouldn't read the note, or he didn't want us to panic.
Gillenane has laid low since we heard her dragon, but the Blight...
I'm pretty sure he is.
And no one's better at tracking Blight than Wardens.
I already have my sights set on Balara, however.
Are they really gods? Or just ancient mages? It's not clear.
They're gods. Or the closest damn thing to them.
Oh, hi there, Nev.
You're back.
Yeah, I am.
Good to have you back. This is Professor Emmerich Volkaren, our fate expert. Dragon Hunter. They joined while you were away.
It's not Activision, it's BioWare slash,
Right.
like, actually, yeah, BioWare, EA. It's not Activision. I was about to say Xbox, but not the same.
What's going on?
Back home, what isn't? Look, you made an impossible call without enough information.
Yeah, you kind of rushed me on that one.
It's the corner the gods put us in. It just might take time to shake off.
You are back, though. right?
Yeah, Belle. I'm back.
Given how things have gone, I wouldn't blame you for staying away. So thanks.
Yay, Balara loves my like, you know, comments. Balara is the lady on the left. I love her. She's voiced by Erika Ishii, which is actually pretty cool because I know her from Dropout videos and shit, and I didn't recognize the voice at first.
Count on it.
Because
Great. Let's follow up on some.
normally whenever I hear Erika Ishii, there's a bit of craziness to her. But like I just think it's great comedy and such like that. Didn't realize she was gonna do VA shit until I learned about this and the fact that she's gonna be Ghost of Yokoi as well. She's gonna be the main protagonist for that, which is really cool. Hi there, Jack. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a better day at work than normal.
Consequences.
Haven't had much training.
Feels like stopping two gods isn't the kind of thing that should get handed to a fresh leader. Though someone needs to be in charge, right? Everyone's looking to me for answers. I have to be ready to give them, even when I'm not certain.
And that's why I recruited you, Rook. I knew you could fill my shoes. Anyway, you've got a meeting with Morrigan to attend.
Why do I feel like that this, like, Rook situation could easily be chalked up to one of Varric's books?
Think I'll rest for a bit.
Like, we're only, like, he's not there for most of this stuff. So he's only catching on to, like, you know, the decision-making leadership stuff. So he's like, that's why he thinks Rook is a good leader, with no knowledge of, like, oh, maybe he's more adept at investigations or some shit. Tosh, a Kunari dragon hunter, lured a dragon from its lair with the team's help so that her fellow Lords of Fortune could steal its treasure. When Anton poachers tried to take the drugged and sleepy dragon, Tosh defended it and revealed her ability to breathe fire. As Tosh joined the team, the surviving Anton fled back to their leader, the Dragon King, with word of a rare fire-breathing dragon. Companion is hardened. After experiencing the Blighted Dragon attack in Minrathos, Nev is less trusting and more self-reliant. Her damaging abilities are increased, but she will no longer use supportive abilities, and relationship progress is slowed. Yeah, that is going to be unfortunate, but you know what? We can work with that. We can work with that. Here's what we need to work. So, number one, Balara, she's really close to being at level 4. Davrin, you know, we could probably do a few increases here and there, but let's have a look at it. He also has a bird. I need to show you the bird. Hang on a second. Higher stagger, detonation deals additional stagger, cooldown reduction. On detonation, you gain a rallying point. Deal fitted to... done to the enemy to all enemies within 6 meters. I'm gonna go with the rally point because I think I need more buffs going off. Oh my god! Also, this is Emmerich. You had my attention at bird. All right, let me show you the bird. Let me show you the bird first, and then I'll take you back over to Emmerich because last stream, I'm gonna be real with you. There was a bit of confusion on how to describe the trope he was. Here he is. This is, I think his name is Avan? Asan. It means, like, arrow or something. Look at him. Look at him! You just, like, grab his head and just, like, shake it side to side. Again! Baby boy.
Hi there, boy.
Who's a good boy? I want to ruffle his feathers, not just, you know, give him hugs and shit, but okay. So yeah, so he's a baby griffin. He has 12 siblings. They all got taken by some blighted witch thing. And the blighted witch seems very obsessive of the idea that...
The sauce is just cheese?
I'm sorry, cheese?
The water. Yes, and it has to be good cheese.
Ooh.
That shouldn't work. The sauce should break apart.
And even cooking is more complicated than magic. Sometimes.
I love that we have, like, 2 foodies in here. Food inventory. All right, let's have a little read. On the pages of a torn notebook in Balara's handwriting, things we have. From Solus, lots of salted meat. Not sure what kind, not challah. Large quantities of raisins, seemingly untouched. Several jars of honey. From us, fresh meat, all kinds. Several varieties of cheese, thanks Nev. Flour, me. Salt, me. Fresh rolled noodles, Harding. Some kind of paste made out of peppers and oil, Harding. Casts of fresh wine, all of us. Large tub of coffee beans, all of us. Small jars of very expensive coffee beans, Lucanus. Breaded sticks of cheese, Tash. Animal biscuits, Davrin. Fresh bananas, Emmerich. Fresh bread, Balara. Tub of butter, Balara. Things we need. Fresh milk. Apples, ask Emmerich. More cooking oil. Chocolate, gonna ask for work. And wine for the book club. Dampeners create a thingamaddiggies from Ireland's journal. Who's this Morrigan? Strife brought in a mage named Morrigan. They have some kind of history. I don't care much for her. This is our forest. We've been defending it, and now she wanders in like she rules Arlathan? After I wrote that, I asked her about her. Morrigan may be uppity, but I guess anyone with her family would be. They say her mother was Flemeth, a legendary witch of the wilds that we still tell tales about. She has a bunch of witch sisters all over the place. Some say Flemeth was immortal, so I don't know what that makes Morrigan. Scary, I guess. They say Morrigan's an incredibly dangerous mage, that she's into blood magic. She's a shapeshifter, she can turn into a dragon, she was advisor to the Inquisition, and she's had more lovers than trees in the forest. She wanders the world, being mysterious, popping up whenever it suits her fancy. I don't know what's truth or not, but I'm watching my back around her. Alright, so this is all, like, the Veil Jumper stuff, and then they had notes. I mean, the Dread Rules Old Home. So, actually, hang on a second. Do we have... let's see. The Shadow of Dragons. The Lords of Fortune. Tash's Daily Alderai Healthless. Morning. Take Spindle... Nope, not important. Antam versus Kunari. Most people think the Antam are like other Kunari, but that's not true now that they are broken away from the Qun. They are very different. You could strengthen your thesis by adding in their attitudes towards the Qun and towards Bas, parentheses foreigners. Normal Kunari think the Qun is like a map or guide. The Antam think of it as orders. Could use more details. Orders must be followed or broken, while a map is a constant source of guidance. Normal Kunari want to convert Bas. Antam want to kill them. I'll add reading to your list regarding our people's war with Tevinter. In conclusion, normal Kunari just want to live their lives. Antam want to kill everyone. We'll work on adding specifics next time. I imagine... So... Oh, she's got notes from her mom at age 14. Alright. That's about the Vismer. Warlords of the Antam. It's easy to think that the Antam broke from the Kunari as one, but the reality is that of a face shattering into countless shards, each broken in its own way, reflecting the warlord who now lead each kith. Some, like the Butcher in Treviso, use their new freedom to indulge in cultures long forgotten to them. Others, like Atashok, Dragon King, or Iskatari, Master Killer, in Rivain, reject foreign cultures and either lean on the trappings of the Antam or invent a heritage to inspire the loyalty of their soldiers. What seems consistent among the Antam warlords is cruelty. From Baku Nassar, Flaming Wind, whose ships terrorize the northern coast, to Kashtar, Jewel Taker, whose kith have become a bandit army in the mountains outside Morathis. I believe the reason to be twofold. First, these Ithshoks feared that their army might turn upon them as they turned upon the Arashok, so they drive their soldiers through fear. And second, there are very few kind and thoughtful Antam.
Kahlua paid me to say Kahlua paid me to say Kahlua paid me to say BRRRRRRR. I'm a dumb robot. Error.
Why would you do that to my robot? Why? He tries his best! Also, hi, Kahlua. We're currently reading a little bit about the Antam, because I had some questions about it. The Kunari have two words for healer. One is Rethari, which is a healer priest, whose name literally means one who helps. The other is Maradim, an Antam battlefield healer, whose name comes from Mar Itwa Adim, or do not let them fall. Those under the Qun have jobs selected for them by their teachers, so any young Kunari, too thoughtful or too sensitive for the harsh life of the Antam, would have been Rathari instead of Maradim. The Kunari, in their wisdom, decided that all children who are naturally prepared to follow orders and hurt others should be placed in the Antam, and this is the result. There are few Antam, not Kishthok, but individual soldiers, who did not break from the Qun. Their help is the only reason the betrayed Arishok survived. They and the former Arishok have renounced their Antam status and now serve under the defense branch of the Ben Hasrith as the Kunari. Their body in rebellion tried to survive with mind and soul alone. Oh yeah, the Ben Hasrith is their secret police. So, yeah. And then over in the world of Thetis, we got the Anderfels, Arlan, the Dalish Elves, the Crows, Beyond the Veil about spirits and demons, Van Harel, Ferelden culture, Lyrium, Majestic Bastards, Magisterium, the Maker, Nevara. Here it is, the Kunari. Hi, Kahlua. The people of the Qun are perhaps the least understood group in Thetis. The Kunari Wars were brutal, but so was the Chantry Schism. So was the fall of the Imperium. Some of this misunderstanding is an accident of nature. The race we call Kunari are formidable. Nature has given them fierce horns and strange eyes, and the ignorant look on them and sea monsters. Oh, and the ignorant look on them and sea monsters. Some is an accident of language. Few among the Qun's people speak the common tongue, and fewer speak it well. In a culture that strives for mastery, to have only a passable degree of skill is humiliating indeed, and so they often keep quiet among foreigners, out of shame. But much of it is the result of the culture itself. The Kunari view their whole society as a single creature, a living entity whose health and well-being is the responsibility of all. Each individual is only a tiny part of the whole, a drop of blood in its veins, important not for itself, but for what is to the whole creature. Because of this, the Kunari most outsiders meet belong to the army, which the Qun regards as if it were the physical body, arms, legs, eyes, and ears, the thing a creature needs in order to interact with the world. One cannot get to know a person solely by studying his hand or his foot, and so one cannot truly meet the Kunari until one has visited their cities. That is where their mind and soul dwell. In Sephiron and Parvolin, one can truly see the Kunari in their entirety. There, the unification of the Kunari into a single being is most evident. Workers, whom the Qun call the mind, produce everything the Kunari require. The soul, the priesthood, seek a greater understanding of the self. The world and exhorts the body and mind to continually strive for perfection. The body serves as the go-between for the mind and soul. The go-between for the mind, the soul, and the world. Everyone and everything has a place, decided by the Qun, in which they work for the good of the whole. It is a life of certainty, of equality, if not individuality. Rivian, now, nowhere in my travels, not in the heart of the Imperium nor the streets of Orzammar, have I felt so much an outsider as in Rivain. The chant of light never truly reached the ears of these people. The years they spent under the thumb of the Kunari left most of the country's zealous followers of the Qun, but resistant to the chant goes deeper than the Kunari Wars. The Rivani refuse to be parted from their seers, wise women who are in fact hedge mages, communicating with spirits and actually allowing themselves to become possessed. The Chantry prohibition against such magical practices violates millennia of local tradition. Sexuality in Thetis, surface dwarves, Xeon, Vitar, the Veil to Vinter Society. Oh, and then we also have missives. The Venatory took full advantage of the chaos. As if the dragon wasn't enough, I knew it would be bad, but it's gotten worse than I thought. I'll need to stay here longer. I found Rana, then there's Hall at the Fish Fry, my contact Alec from the Threads, but you needn't list of people you don't know. The time for a friendly tour of Docktown is long gone. The point is, There are people I've confirmed are alive, and others I still need for information. One way or another, I'll be back once I know more. Oh, did I miss out on a quest where I could have, like, gone around Docktown and shit before, you know, shit hit the fan? The Watchers are sending this letter for me. I am the man who used to be enslaved by the Venatori. My name is Claudius. Thank you. Bless you for stopping them. I would never have seen the sun again if not for you. I am very well. The Watchers say there is a great call for tailors of the deceased. This was strange to me, for we do not need such things in Deventer, but the Watchers have fed me and found me work. I can never repay them, or you, but I will help clothe Navarra's dead. May you walk in the light. You have discerned despair from the shadow. I wonder if that's a thing I've missed. Like, hang on a second. Defeat the champion in Docktown. Like, so there's story. Did I miss a... It doesn't tell me that I've missed a quest. Alright, so there's Regrets of the 12... Alright, we're gonna need to go into the Fade and have a look. Well, you'll be back soon. Dinner is ready. Not to worry, not to worry. I'm sorry, I'm just so... Like... Hang on a sec. I'm just gonna... Really quickly... I'm gonna do my overwrite save. And then... 1928. Okay, this one is before Min/Tal decision. Alright, so... How, like, okay, how far back is this one? Because granted, I'm going to need to go pretty far, but if the only... Okay, so it is, like, literally settling into my... Okay, so that's going to be a whiles. So, not something we're going to be doing anytime soon. Let me open the GrantZeebs one. I'm glad that they give us, like, 100 slots to, like, do our saves and what have you, because I'm going to be real with you. I am most likely, I'm gonna, like, start doing, like, some save points here and there. So, right at the get-go, so, full party unlocked. So, we're just gonna hold on to that one. So then that way... Alright. Oh, hello. You got something? Oh, several people got several things for me. Okay, so. Let's go talk to the Grey Warden first. Open... Because, you know, Jack is going to have more opportunity to see Asan.
Hey, Asan.
There we go. Alrighty. And also, like... Draven's whole thing is about getting some griffins back, so we're gonna get more likely more birds with this one.
I was thinking of taking it on for a walk. Use the exercise. And stretch with some things. But you'd like to come along.
How to train a dragon. So I thought I was about so quick to being how to train your dragon, but it's like, no, how to train a griffin. Entirely different. Alright, so we got that one out of the way. And then we've got another quest that's up here. Over in, Tash's thing. Also, Kahlua, meet our newest member.
Stop by for a workout?
Actually, this might have been the person that you're, like, talking about as being the Himbaroni. Oh no, Himbaroni. Like pepperoni himbo, right? Not like Himbaroni as in Hermione himbo. But anywhoosies. Hey, Taj, we've been trying to get supplies to the crows in Treviso, but the crows who were supposed to pick up the supplies here in Rive never reported in. If you and your fancy new friends have the time, could you check it out? The drop point was over on the coast. For gold and glory, Isabella. Alright, awesome. We have several different companion quests we can go through. Alrighty, now... time to meet. You ready for this, chat? Chat, I need you to tell me that you're ready for this, okay? I need you to tell me that you are ready for who I'm hoping is going to be one of the more interesting character companions that we're going to have here.
I'm sorry, but I find it completely unnatural.
I don't get why you think cremation's so bad. Everyone outside Navarra burns their dead.
All those lost vessels. Fine mansions reduced to ash. Manfred, for instance. How would his wisp have fared if I hadn't given it a body?
This is Manfred. Where did his body come from?
Where or, who'd you get his body from?
There was no single donor. The arms were recovered from a charnel pit. The ribs were a gift from a dear friend. And Manfred's wisp picked out his own skull from some donations. That was quite the day.
Aww.
I've been in fine company during my necropolis excursions ever since.
How smart is he anyway?
What does Manfred understand exactly?
Simple things, but he grows. Spirits of curiosity are voracious learners. The more he experiences, the more sophisticated his conclusions. With guidance, of course.
Aww. Right back at you, Manfred.
Same to you.
It's just Manfred's way of saying hello. I encountered him as a wisp in the necropolis years ago. A simple spirit, but so curious. He refused to leave my side.
So, you built a skeleton for the spirit to live in?
Spirits are formed from the emotions and desires of people in the mortal realm. Manfred's wisp came from curiosity. It's these spirits which animate the dead. Their drive revives the corpse, yet the corpse colors their actions. Thus, the eternal question, are undead, inhuman spirits puppeting a body, or does some shade of the departed return?
No, we're not skipping that, no. I want to believe it. I am curious, though, because you mentioned that there's, like, several pieces of that corpse. Or Manfred, sorry. There's several pieces to Manfred. Like, you got a rib cage from, that was gifted from one person, the arms from a different source, but the wisp was able to choose their own skull. So, like, is the soul, like, immaterial in that case? Where, as you mentioned, the corpse, like, is it, like, this weird mishmash, and really it should be more of, like, a full human, like, corpse should be next time given to Manfred / the spirits? Or should it be more of a case of, like, it's only a portion that's important, such as the head, for instance, because, you know, Manfred picked the head.
It's gotta bring back a little piece at least.
That's my belief as well. I swear I could see it sometimes, Rook. A glint of recognition of something more in the dead.
Hey, that's my sleeve. Are you trying to steal my buttons?
As well as a certain mischievousness. Manfred.
But yeah, okay, so you guys had a little moment of seeing good old Emmerich over here. Also, look at it, Manfred just having this fucking tea at the ready. Look at that, he just always has tea. He's just like, eh. But yeah, this man is romanceable. I'm pretty sure he's romanceable for no matter who you are as the Rook. I feel like this man is Jason, like, had to... I asked this, like, the last time I played this game, and I think Jason was just, like... The term that I'm going with right now is a gay elder, because that's his vibe to me, is that this is a man, and, you know, obviously on the get-go, he's gay, but that's not the only identifier about him. This is a man of age and wisdom, and he is a guide for younger souls, and will either be someone who sits on the sidelines and giving the, you know, the right cues like a coach, or it's someone that, you know, has found a second life of being able to, like, you know, raise someone else that they wouldn't normally have been able to because of, you know, their life circumstances or what have you. And so through them raising whoever, they now get a new lease on life while also raising another person. Manfred, I feel like, fills in this role. He is a spirit of curiosity, as we have now learned, and he's doing silly little things. It is so sweet. Also, look at this fucking place. Also, there's a staircase? I did not know this was a thing. Is there anything up here? Yes. Yes, a great view. Totally, you know, peak. Yes, Lighthouse, you did so well. Manfred is immeasurably adorable.
Things, Manfred?
Oh.
Yes, I'd say this place is quite acceptable now.
It's just a silly, he's just a silly little guy. I don't think he comes with us during the adventures, however, so that's one downside. Alright, let me just double check. Is there anyone else to talk to? Yes, we can talk to, Harding. Scout Harding has been doing some... Wait, what? The helper waits... Who's in here? Oh, hello! Alright, that's one of 2 wisps. Ooh, an Inquisition seat. Interesting. One problem, though. We don't exactly have another one of those wisps. Unless... No. Okay. Hopefully we'll find another wisp another time. But yeah, Scout Harding is over here, Z's.
Did I see you writing a message to the Inquisition? What's that about?
You know, Varric and I were part of the Inquisition, right? I'm trying to get news about the South. But Charter hasn't replied to any of my messages. I'm trying not to worry about what's happening there, but... No, it's probably fine. Charter's just busy. She's always busy.
Charter? Who's that?
She's the Inquisition's spy master. Or she would be, if there was still an Inquisition. I suppose she just works for the Inquisitor now?
Okay.
I haven't heard much about the Inquisition in years.
We did disband them.
That's intentional. When the breach was open, we needed a large group to stop Southern Thetis from falling into chaos.
Yep.
It's changed in the years since. We're a smaller force working underground to keep an eye on things going on in the world.
So yeah, so the reason, like, because we went to, like, a really big fucking army during all that, and during the events of the DLC Trespasser, there was, it was like 5 years after the breach was, like, patched and shit like that, the events of Dragon Age Inquisition, and so there were some concerns about, like, oh, should the Inquisition still exist as, like, one of the larger standing armies across Southern Thetis and shit? And, you know, obviously the Orlasians were, like, wanting to, you know, control it and what have you, have regulation and shit. During the events of the of Trespasser, though, we learned that Qunari spies or what have you were trying to do something with the Illuvians and what have you, and Solus went missing. We tracked them down and shit. Turns out they had spies within the Inquisition. And then by the end of it, we find out Solus, who's Fen Harel, he has his own like plans and such like that, and now he has controls of the Illuvians as well. The reason why he learned about the plot that the Kunari were trying to do is because he had his own spies within the Inquisition who came across their spies. So, unfortunately, because of the huge sheer size that the Inquisition had turned into, bureaucracy and corruption were going hand in hand there. So, one of the decisions that was made, I made this decision when I played through Inquisition. This was done like before I did streaming and what have you, because again, this game is 10 years old. And one of the decisions that I've kept to when I created my character and what have you at the start of the Veilguard was that I made it that the Inquisition was disbanded. It couldn't serve its purpose anymore by remaining as big as it was, and I feel like there would have been more problems with the bureaucracy and the potential danger of corruption that I had the group disbanded from its, massive army of Southern Thetis and shit like that into being a much smaller handful of forces, like, kind of like the Avengers rather than, a standing army like Wakanda.
A spy master? She doesn't know things about me, does she? Do I need to worry?
Charter probably knows everything about you. Oh, but she's not gonna use it against you. I mean, if you behave.
So, how long were you with the Inquisition? 10 years?
Something like that. Why?
You must know the Inquisitor.
Well, yeah, we worked together. I wasn't part of the Inquisitor's inner circle, though. I spent more time with the ordinary people, the ones you didn't hear about.
Bullshit! You were there for most of our scouting parties and told us about the area.
But you did know people from the Inquisitor's inner circle, didn't you?
I knew them, sure, but those early days, all I wanted was to prove myself and not get in anyone's way. Some of them were more approachable than others. Sarah was a puppy with a new toy. 100 new toys. Fun, if you can handle the mess. She was really the only one who could make Rainier, Blackwall then, let down his guard. Otherwise, he kept to himself and stuck to the stables. We'd talk when I visited the horses. And there was Cole.
Cole, my boy!
Yep. I was just sitting on the walls one day, and he asked if he could join my game.
Like a card game?
Nah, just good old people watching. Must have seemed like a game to him somehow. We'd pick strangers out of the crowd and try to say something about them. Like,
aww,
she heard the joke yesterday and she's still trying not to laugh. Or one of Cole's. His eyes remind her of the ones beneath her bed.
Under the bed?
Who stores eyes under their bed? I'm partial to a nice wall display myself.
Well, that's one interpretation that never occurred to me. Thanks.
You're welcome. Wasn't Cole an empath? He must have been great at this game.
Ah, but the rule was you couldn't say anything you actually knew. He got it in the end. I think.
So you didn't ask him if you guessed right?
Well, being right wasn't the point. Making a habit of seeing people was. I think he liked that. It's why you don't miss.
Nice.
So tell me about these ordinary Inquisition members I haven't heard about.
The Inquisition hired hundreds, and most of them weren't Magisters or Ben Hasrith or the left hand of the Divine.
Cassandra.
They were scouts and stable hands, carpenters and cooks and quartermasters, even 2 dedicated pastry chefs.
Hi there, Bookie.
They volunteered, like me. We wanted to help in whatever small way we could.
I'm sure those pastries were a great help.
My ma likes to say that sometimes the pie is for eating.
Welcome. You missed out on Harding talking about Cole. It was sweet. They played a game of, like, guessing what people were or doing.
Faulkner loved soup, but food was always a comfort.
Rector? Faulkner?
Liliana gave all her agents pseudonyms.
Right. Like Charter.
Well, Charter's Charter, but when the other two and I were together, we were just Lace, Wilbur, and Katya.
Okay, and what about the advisors?
And the Inquisitor's advisors? What about them?
Of all of them, I'd say Josephine is my favorite. She's lovely.
Oh, she was the most boring for me.
She still sends me a box of handmade sweets from Val Royeau every year on my name day.
Oh, that's sweet,
Colin
though.
and I got along too, but he was always busy.
Colin was
Have bad
PTSD.
delirium withdrawal sometimes, and I would share the tea that my ma sent. He's from Ferelden too. Maybe it reminded him of home.
What about Liliana? I heard she's intense.
I think she likes to cultivate that reputation. She's not nearly as terrifying as she sounds. Oh, I passed her in the Great Hall one day, and she suddenly turned and asked me if I wanted a nug.
A nug? Those small pink rodent things? What for?
She loved them and made a hobby of breeding them as pets.
So, did you take the nug?
No! What am I gonna do with a nug?
Take a nug as a pet, obviously.
Do you miss it? The Inquisition, I mean.
It's hard to miss an organization. They're only as good as their people, don't you think?
I miss the
But I do miss
Inquisition.
my friends. We write each other, but it's not the same. And the Inquisition is different from what we've built here. Not better or worse, just different. It's special when you're among people working toward the same goal.
Not everyone. There was Solus. What did you really think of him back then?
Lonely. He always seemed lonely. It's hard not to be when you hold yourself above everyone else.
I feel a bit sorry.
Smart as he's supposed to be, there's just some things he doesn't get. At all.
Yeah. Maybe one day he will. Maybe. If you help him. Anyway, I'm sure something...
I reckon if we can't... I don't know if the game will let us do this, but I'm hoping that there's like some way, like through decisions or maybe Solus's narrative arc, there might be a way for us, because, you know, as they mentioned there, he was lonely and shit. I'm really hoping that there might be a way where we somehow convince Solus that the key to, like, fixing his mistakes is not for him alone to do. Manfred, what are you doing here? Okay, hang on. No. Again. We gotta play again. Again. Okay, no, again. I'm gonna beat Manfred. Again. Okay, surely not for the 4th time. Yeah! Wait, no, that's... Wait, he did scissors. I did rock. No, that's not the same. Hang on. Oh, okay, there we go. he just keeps doing paper. No, he's just gonna keep doing paper. Let me do scissors one time. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, Rook wins. Let's go. Alrighty, yoink. And then... So I didn't see this before, so I'm gonna grab you. Hopefully I get you here before...
Another helper waits between the facing gods.
Oh! The fuck? Alright. Oh. Okay. It's a really big fucking library. Only a few sentences in this ancient book are decipherable. Don't go entering any portals, you see. Make me. Try to stop me. Scattered now, the great enemy has vanished, but so has the dread wolf. After rebellion, there is a cry for reconciliation, not only with those we fought, but with those who stood aside and must now justify their passivity. There are empty rooms, but It is now the emptiness of peace, not of the fallen. We know these halls will be kept by. Close out these pages. I gaze at the beating heart of the lighthouse, fed so long with hope, and offer one last morsel. I am the last. When I depart, it will be into a world I do not understand. But I face a dawn without the Evan Nuris, and that is enough. Effigy of the dead, a monument to humility. The Elegnar's reply. To Soulless Spirit Speaker, second to Minthrall, Dread Wolf, our Lord has received your word and will give them the consideration they deserve. Rest well, knowing our Lord is devoted to his people and their well-being, and wishes for them to have lives of peace and abundance. Death Smell, Bloodhound to Elgonar, Keeper of his rights, on behalf of Elgonar, Sun Tamer, Crown of Arlathan, First of the Firstborn, Lord of the Day, and of the Night who woke at dawn. I have seen your creatures. Some are beautiful, some are horrific, but all are brilliant. I can understand how such incredible achievement could make one feel like a god. Perhaps that explains the terror of cause and the transformations wrought upon those unable to defend themselves. So that's to Gillahan. You must know that you are not a god. You are a mage, and a title from the Evan Nuris cannot alter that. If anything, joining their ranks will bind you to their political will. You could have creatures to protect your people from the Evanuris. Why debase yourself and threaten our people by joining them? Of course I know why. I hope you gain peace with Anduril. You would not be the first to sacrifice your moral for love. Who is no younger. I ask you again to reconsider. To claim there is no difference between ruling as king and ruling as god begs the question as to why you feel it necessary to claim such a title for yourself. Most of the people accept your rule. You have shackled their bodies. Must you shackle their minds in turn? There is much we disagree on, but you must see that hobbling our people with such claims will limit their spirits and tarnish the gleam of your leadership. Your power is unquestioned. May your wisdom match it. Charter. Yes, the trail went cold, but we haven't entirely lost it. Solus left us a little farewell note, so I'm not giving up just yet. Maybe it's gullible of me, but I know the Inquisitor feels the same. Solus isn't too far gone to bring back. If he weren't, he could have just killed us when he had the chance. He didn't have to save her life when he took back the anchor. He didn't have to warn me and Harding to give up. I don't think he wants to do this, so I'm taking the chance. Yes, I know. Don't put anything in writing. I don't want coming back to haunt me. The Lyrium Dagger. Letter to Charter. I'm assuming you got my last message. We're adjusting with Rook setting up. Charter and Solus. Silent Festival will take place. We've investigated thoroughly. Charter in Iridium. An introduction to the White House. The Dreadwolves Alluvians. Charter has been in a lot of different places, it seems. And then Memoirs of a Duet. A letter dated 6 months ago. I hope the North is treating you well, even things here in Minrathos Viper. Okay. How's it going, by the way, Himbo Bear? Alright, what does this do? Okay. Ah! Flashbang! Fuck. Oh! It's...
Dweller, it is whole. Restored.
The astrolabe is being restored. Workshop upgrades are being discounted. Can I jump off this? Yes, I can. Awesome. Honestly, that's kind of cool that we were able to do that. Also, I got a achievement called Nostalgia Trip. I hope it's for the fact that I, like, jumped off the railings rather than taking the stairs back. Let's have a look. Let's travel to the crossroads. Let's see if there's another segment of the crossroads that have opened up. We now have, like, all the companions, so we should have, like, multiple means of unlocking shit now. Valuables may be sold to a spirit merchant at the market, at the crossroad market to help with the shop. Yay, okay. Alright. Nev and Tosh. I want Both of you with me. Let's see how this goes. Also, it seems like one of the three here can be... There we go. That's one.
This door. I think the essence we took from that revenant might be our way through.
A key, then, for a door that was very carefully sealed.
Alright, over to the map. Okay, so we need to go over there. So I've unlocked a few things. Clear the blight from the beacon... something or rather. The dread wolf nonsense. Alright, we're gonna go to this beacon here. We're gonna do some exploring. So yeah, because I haven't done too much good exploring in this area, to be real with you. Vulnerable to fire. Ah, okay. There we go.
So, your mom wanted you to lay low, and now you're with us.
And because I wanted to be here.
Then it looks like we pleased everyone. Isn't that novel?
Yep. It's great.
She doesn't like her mom, does she? How is it going on your side of things, Himbo Bear GPT? Why the GPT edition? Why the chat GPT-ness?
Brooke gets that one.
So, yeah, now comes the fun bit where we're trying to... Alright, so I think what I need to do is I need to go up this thing. This gives us an entirely different region we can go to.
Ready if you are. That's one for us.
There we go. You good, Nev. You doing good. Alright. Let's see, so...
About to get fun.
Lucky shot. Nice move, bro.
Alrighty. Eee! Hi there, Minty! Welcome to the stream. Alright. So... Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, so apparently there's like a wolf back there we can go after. So, and... Darkspawn killed. 40 of 50. Okay, so there's another 10 Darkspawn I need to kill before we can do whatever else with that tree. Oop. Nice try.
Can't get along.
Alright. So there should be a wolf either... Alright, so we can't go any further than this, so... Maybe something over here? Fully healed myself. I didn't realize I needed healing. I feel like... Can I get to that balcony, perhaps? Good meowing to you too, Minty. Welcome, welcome. How are you today? Nah, it doesn't look like it wants me to go up that. I don't think it will let me climb this. But yeah, you see how there's a wolf? Oh, maybe the wolf we're looking for is maybe on this. Yeah, there's the wolf. Hang on a second, hang on a second. There you are. Veil jumpers. Alrighty. Now we head over here. Is there... Oh, hello. Etheric Remnant would be good. And then... Champion Spirit. Which I don't really have... So that's for clearing the Blighted Tower. Pale Reflections. Doesn't really tell us where we could go to collect that soul. It's a champion. Maybe it's in my quest journal already? Because normally the caretaker will pop up at that point. So, hang on a second. Alright, heading back over there. So, because it looks like there's more in this direction. Cool little wisps over there making butterflies.
Ready for a fight?
Yep, they're vulnerable to...
We're under fire. Nice move.
There we go. Another champion's essence. We don't really have a lot of good ways of getting more champion essence from within here. So, yeah, we're probably gonna have to do... There we go. Alright, so it looks like... So we can't go through those crossroad quests. And... Dread Wolf stuff is... So there's only 2 more to go through. That's for clearing out the thingies. So yeah, let's go with Davrin with the... Alright, where is Davrin? So Trevisio has new quests. Rivian quest, test quests. Okay, so the Arlathan Forest is where we need to go. Alright, sounds good. Oh hey, we got like multiple quests we can do here. And we can sell stuff to the Veil Jumpers. Because we need gold, but also I want to improve like our standing with them.
You're in the market for instruments of dismemberment?
So, yep. Sell you each of... Alright, once it gets to 3s is when it's like, you know, they're not really worthwhile to them. It's worthwhile to someone else. So I'd rather sell to that faction instead. Ooh, this would upgrade the Veil Song. Deals additional... Yeah, gonna go with that one. This one just gives them an entirely different bow. I don't yet have the thingy for that, or for that. Apply shock to nearby enemies on potion use. Cool little things. Wardrobe stutch. Yeah, I can't rank you up just yet. I'll need to get more stuff that can be sold.
If the gods are stirring up trouble in Alathan, we won't have enough Veilguards to handle this. We'll need...
Oros still isn't home. I shouldn't have let him go when he said he'd take the relic deeper into the forest to deal with it. I have to go after him. And I'm taking Gus. Orlos and Gus are always inseparable, and Oros always said Gus was the better tracker he knew. Gus will find the trail. There's a crudely drawn map of the forest showing where Taynor intended to search.
Veil Jumpers are in trouble. They could use our help if we can find them. This map is a good start.
Alright, let's follow the map then. And yes, this is probably going to be a stream of like just going... Oh, a nug just ran off. This is probably going to be a stream where we are just going to be, you know, fucking around. Hi there, everyone!
Manfred. How does he work?
I'm sure Emmerich would fill you in if you asked.
Hi there, viewers, raiders. Welcome to the stream. My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer. Right now, I'm going through, hang on, I need to pause this. I am currently going through Dragon Age the Veilguard, as you can see up in the top left right there. I am absolutely having a fantastic time. You won't see me as a 3D VTuber while I'm playing this game because it's a little bit intense on my CPU, amazingly enough, and my GPU. So the GPU, I normally was assuming it was going to be that case, but it turns out the CPU actually gets quite a bit of usage from it as well. It takes up like 30 to 40% of my CPU, which is a little bit problematic if I wanted to try and do ARM tracking as well, for instance. So that's not happening right now, hence the PNGTuber.
Got a wisp inside running the show.
Manfred's a wisp? Like the ones at your desk? You could make a bunch of moving skeletons?
Me? No. Not without some research I don't want to do. Don't worry, those wisps are staying wisps. Good. Now there's a nice shot.
Alrighty. So, not that way. So yeah, hi there, passenger. How was Satisfactory? You finally beat Satisfactory? Wait, there's an ending to Satisfactory? It's not just like, you know, play forever, endless Minecraft nonsense. There's a conclusion? You're gonna need to explain this to me, passenger. So where the fuck is this thing taking me? Ah, I see. I see. Wait, why can't it take me? Oh, that one's undiscovered. Okay. First and foremost, we are gonna go back. Cause
there's a problem.
Yeah, we are going to... Yeah, hang on. Spoilers. Yeah, right now I'm... Sorry, I'm playing Veilguard. There's going to be... There we go. Or are you saying that the ending of Satisfactory is spoilers? Because right now I'm still, like, you know, fairly early into... this one, into... Yeah, I'm going the right way. I'm still fairly early into Dragon Age the Veilguard. I've only just picked up all of my companions, just to, you know... Now I have, like, all the other, like, you know, things that can be, like, activated and what have you can be unlocked. Oop. Also, because we're in a very, like, you know, veil-y sort of place, some stuff can break. And sometimes I can ground. No, they just didn't want to spoil any story or whatever the title is. Ah, okay. No, understandable, understandable. If you don't want to tell me anything, that's fine. That is your prerogative. There we go. The shoreline ruins. Oh, hello. That doesn't give me much context. So. Alright, use this. Nope, that does not help. Alright, so there's a few things I need to destroy. Found... The fuck are you? So I can only get... Okay, so I can't... So you know what? I'm gonna fast travel to here. And we'll double back. Also, breaking things! Because this game, you know, gives me things in a destructible environment, and that is honestly fun. Thank you for destructible environments. I appreciate the destructible environments very much. Okay, so it was around about here. There was like a thingy. Though I don't see it right now, so... Of course not. That's annoying. No, that's already broken. Ah, but these aren't. There we go. In Steam Chains, it says only 2.4% have beaten the game, so you think you're a pro. I imagine you would be a pro. Good work on that. Ow.
Got us at a distance.
Hey, we got like a thingy. Because I don't think this was open last time. But it looks like there's all sorts of what's-mahoozies to deal with, so. Alright, let's avoid that. Because, yeah, there's all these blight points, but I don't exactly have a good view of, like, where the pulsating ones are, so it's, like, kind of tricky. Because, see? Like, oh, maybe it's on the lower level. Maybe I need to somehow get a level down, and then we'll have a chance, so... Ignore the fact that things want to...
Trouble coming our way.
Ready? Take the shot.
Alright, maybe we'll have a better chance going through...
We're not alone.
Looks like... Alright, looks like... Yeah, looks like we can go through that way, maybe.
We're under fire. Look out.
There we go. Yeah, well, let me go through here. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking blight here. But hey, there's a chest. Alright, there we go. Yep. There's the blight. Yeah, it looks like there's multiple pieces to this blight.
This is where Taynor was headed. There's blight here. She didn't mention that.
Probably new. Wasn't here before.
Yep. Alright, so we're gonna need to go up a floor. Yep, so we can't get to it from there, so we have to get to it from here. Pick up this while we're at it, since we're over here.
Oros. He didn't make it. But it seems he managed to destroy the relic. Taynor and Gus must be out here somewhere. We'll keep looking.
To whoever finds it, it was as I suspected. The relic we were sent after was blighted, or it had some connection to the blight. The corruption was on me before I knew it. I'm glad I sent Taynor home. I cannot let the blight spread. I will find some way to destroy this thing if it's the last thing I do.
Oh, not good. That relic ended up blighting Oros.
Alright, so that thing is locked. So we're gonna need to unlock it from the other side. Breaking more pots, because we can. Alright, and then breaking you. Swap over to the staff, because I think because of Blight, Necrosis is the better option. Break you. Let's get off the blighted stuff.
Darkspawn. Wait.
Blighted Taynor. Oh, okay.
I think that's Taynor.
There we go. That's Taynor gone.
I'm so sorry, Taynor. You didn't deserve this. One more Veil Jumper to find. The tracker, Gus. Let's hope we can still save him.
Alright, oop. Yep, that worked. Dink, donk. We already got this chest, but we need to be here in order to break off that thing. There we go. Oh, we could have just jumped to it, I guess. But still no.
What's that there? By those bushes.
Oh. What's this? Spray it with some bleach every 6 hours for every 2 weeks.
This is Gus. Wait, the tracker Taynor talked about was a Nug. Oros' companion Nug.
Oh my god.
Let's get you home, little one.
Oof. That's a shame. Also, hey, we can also climb and get out via here now. Well, that's nice. We're slowly opening up more ways. Try not to get blasted. Nyom. Boxes. Look, I'm gonna see destructible shit, I'm gonna break it, alright? It's like, it's Lego Star Wars rules, alright? There's always something in there. There's always money in the banana stand. And then, yep, we take this shortcut, so then that way, rather than taking the long way around, we just... Oh, wait, hang on. Break this ladder. That way... I meant to do that. The Rangy Dowager Quarterly. Oh.
I hope Taynor is all right. I haven't seen her in days.
Nug.
That's Gus. I wondered where he was. Haven't seen Oros or Taynor in a while either.
I'm sorry. Gus was the only one I could save.
Oh, creators have mercy. Poor Gus. Do you think he understands?
Lot of weird things lurking in the forest.
I suppose
I
I'll
got the
look after
goods to
him
kill
now.
most all of them.
Oros wouldn't want him to be lonely.
There we go.
Thank you, Rook.
Send your friends my way. Tell him Amelia will set him up.
Alrighty. Now let's consult the map again, because we have a different quest. We have... Oh, so there's something... So there's something over there, but I want to help out Davos over here, which means using this beacon so we can jump over there. Hi there, Wolf Fox, by the by. Sorry I didn't say hi to you sooner. I just saw like all the I saw like Just Passenger chatting, and I was just like absorbed with his thing. I'm so sorry. Welcome, welcome. There he is.
You need me for a fight, just say the word.
Well, you wanted to take Azan for a walk, didn't you? Or Asan, sorry. You wanted to take Asan for a walk. Asan's a bird. He's a griffin.
Let's get going.
Look at him.
I've been thinking. Lancet and Remy used special food to train the griffins. Said it was the fastest way to start a bond.
Right, what did you call it? Turlum?
That's it. And gingerwort truffles were the griffins' favorite treats. They grow around ruins. We're going to teach Asan how to find some.
Okay. Look at this little guy. Oh, there's a... You know what? I know exactly where we're going. Because there's a door here, and every time I've come here, I've never been able to open this door, but now we can. Thank goodness.
How did you end up with the Grey Wardens?
Grew up in a Dalish clan. I'd hear all these stories about things that happened thousands of years ago.
The Dalish do love their history.
Except I wanted to make history. Didn't fit in. Got bored, so I went looking for adventure.
How'd that go over with your clan?
Poorly. They felt like I rejected them.
Did you?
Yeah, I suppose. Clan life wasn't for me. I had to get away.
So then what happened? You're out in the world, looking for adventure.
Got my ass kicked. I broke. I couldn't go crawling back to my clan a failure. Doubt they'd take me back. It forced me to figure out what I was good at. Always had a knack for hunting.
Oh, let me just activate that, just so then that way. More health is good. I'm glad that, like, health isn't, like, hugely a level thing, but more of a discovery, which means that you could have gotten away with just, like, 3 bars of health, but right now I'm at, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... I'm at, like, 7 bars of health right now. So we're doing pretty good on that front. Alright, so we can't go that way yet. That is fucking crazy. Can we cross this? No, we cannot cross this. Jesus, Rook, learn to swim. It's 2024. So many games allow us to swim now. Did people back in the old days, like, you know, medieval Europe and shit, did they know how to swim? Or is this like a modern phenomenon or some shit? Thank you for the rosemary. I don't know who will benefit from that. The waterfront glades. Okay, okay. There was a surprising number of people who couldn't back then. Okay, so it is a common thing that people didn't know how to swim back then.
What are you doing? That's not a truffle. That's a nug. You'll get fleas.
At least he's having fun.
Truth is, he purrs when you scratch him. Maybe we can speed things up by helping him. Let's search the bushes. Look around for truffles.
Uh-huh. Alright. Is this one?
Ow. That was a thorn.
Keep looking.
Nug droppings. Yuck.
The nugs pretty much own Arlithan Forest.
I thought nugs had no predators. How are they, like...
This is harder than it looks.
It's fleas, isn't it? What'd I tell you?
Actually, I think it's a truffle.
Huh.
Maybe the nugs like truffles. Could Hassan know that if you follow them, you might find truffles?
Are you really that smart, boy?
Maybe he just got lucky.
Hey now, watch your tone.
Well, you're still getting to know each other. Remember, Turlum. Remy was probably right. Remember how she said he needed a lighter touch?
If I go soft on him, the world would chew him up.
Let's give you both a chance and see if you can find any more of these.
Oh, joy, a truffle pig. Is that what they use? Like, are pigs, like, used to find truffles? Is that the idea?
You go from hunter to slayer of monsters.
Uncle Eldrin. An old elf I knew growing up. When I was a kid, I'd hunt just about anything. Rabbits, deer, fox. Eldrin gave that purpose. Taught me the way of 3 trees. The way of the arrow, way of the bow, way of the wood.
Uh-huh.
That sounds noble.
Eldrin taught me to hunt the unnatural so the natural can thrive. Be a force for good. Besides, it was either that or starve. Monsters paid good coin.
Yep.
But why become a Grey Warden? If you were making money on your own...
I didn't leave my clan to get rich. Had to prove it was all worth something. I needed a cause.
Well, there must be easier causes than fighting Darkspawn all your life.
And one that didn't have a chance of death.
The greater the shadow you confront, the stronger you are for winning.
Till you meet one you can't beat.
Haven't yet.
That's some very positive thoughts there. Also, there's, like, no... Are these coverings on here as, like, just a poor man's, like, oh, you're in the middle of a quest, you're not supposed to be doing that? Probably. Yeah, I think that's what they're doing. Yeah, they're making it so that I have, like, very specific directions to go for a side quest, rather than, like, doing the side quest accomplishments while, you know, in the middle of a quest for a companion. Although now they're trying to train dogs because a dog isn't trying to please you where the pig is looking for food. Ah, okay. Oh, hello. Yep. Davrin's with me. Oh, this is Davrin, by the by. Oop, chest. Hello. Thank you. Ari column pedestal? No idea who would want that. Alright, open this, so then that way we have a way to double back. Obviously we can't go any further in that direction, so we're rolling around here. Up! Hassan. Snap chain is valuable to someone. Nugs!
think Hassan's got something. Why don't you take a look?
Let's see. Frost Branch. Higher amount of damage, and now gives me charge. Good to know. Beyond the Veil, a memento. Nice. What'd you find, boy?
I'll be damned. Follow the nugs.
Well, you proved me wrong, Hassan. I guess we know who the smart one is.
Might make a tracker out of you yet. Hungry? What? It's gingerwort. Eat it.
Remember, light touch.
I mean, it's dessert fit for a prince.
Yeah.
See?
He'll be fine. He just has a strong spirit.
Did you see it?
Go into it.
I'm watching, I'm watching.
With Lancet and Remy gone, if something happens to me, he'll have to stand on his own.
So don't let anything happen to you.
Colum Betsy's 1539. Jesus.
Not that I don't enjoy punching it squarely in the face.
Yeah, you can romance him, it looks like.
2 or 3 times, just to be sure.
Mm-hmm. But you can't beat back death forever.
Despite Hassan trying his best.
Okay, boy. That's enough for one day.
But he's having fun.
He overeats, and you'll find out how fun Griffin puke is.
Hassan, you heard him. Let's go.
Nice. But yeah, okay, so they did have swimming in Middle Ages, like 1539, kind. So, 1500s. How to Train a Griffin is now completed. And our bond with Davrin gets deeper because of it. Well, that's nice. Well, alright, now let's double back and see if we can, you know, complete any of the nonsense that was missed. Jump! Oh my goodness. I don't think I was supposed to make that jump.
I heard you fought a dragon in Minrathous before I joined up.
Yeah, the Shadow Dragons and I dealt with it while Rook and the others fought a second in Treviso. Though you could call it more surviving than fighting. We barely drove it off. But now we have a dragon hunter, so here's to better luck next time.
That's what I'm here for.
Alright. Alright, activate this pillar. And this one will have... Oh god, these things are, like, in weird spots, aren't they? That's rather annoying. Alright. Behind one.
Time to fight now.
Yeah, a bit busy right now. Fuck off.
See who ends this.
We're good.
Pure ore, there we go. Alright. Ah, there's the other one. Can't get it from there. And then the second one is most likely behind that pillar somehow. Yeah, alrighty, so... Alright, so I was going the right way earlier, I just needed to take a... The toaster you got, can it only do toast or sliced bread? So, it can do toast, it's an extra wide slot, so you can put in, like, crumpets, for instance, and as always, Pop-Tarts. You can't put scones on top though. That it doesn't have like a little thingy-majiggy on top for that, unfortunately. Alrighty, let's see. There we go. So now we just need like a little wispy thing, which we can't get from there. Ooh, but we can get from here. Let me just grab this. Jewelry box. Ooh, and a crystalline shard. Obviously for the knife. Alright, put you there. That should give us a little ramp. That's... Yep. Tainted Woods. And there we go. And I don't... Yep, we don't have to go back in order to get our reward, thankfully. So... we continue exploring. Hell yeah. Oh, while I'm here. There we go. Use this.
A pit of darkspawn? Let's clear him out.
Vulnerable to fire. Cool.
Good hit.
Another champion. Let's deal with it.
Here we go. Clear out. Nice move, bro.
Oh.
Watch for incoming.
Can you, like, not? Thank you. Three, four, five, six, seven. Ah! Oh wait, no, I got a revive on me. I can use that.
That should take care of it.
Get clear.
Watch yourself.
Tell your gods we won't be stopped.
There we go. I'm glad I got that revive. That was very helpful.
More essence.
There we go. Grab that, giving us 25 blast ability damage, 25 against barrier, 25 mana when a blast ability deals critical. Eh. Not really important. We'll use you.
Get clear.
They're still panicking over the fire, no doubt. I did not know I could climb up that. This one I did know. There we go. There we go. And that. Climb up here. Ah, there's another thing we need to break. Oh, there it is. There we go. Sir Dragon just quickly fishing while I'm doing my side quest. That's okay. And hey, we get ourselves another chest. What's in here? Ooh, Storm Charger. Using an electric ability applies shocking to you. When you are hit while shocked, removes the effect and deal 300 electricity damage to all nearby. Interesting. Has a bit of positive, has a bit of negative. I am curious to see what it will do. Oh, hello. Apply it to you. There we go. Thank you. Open the doors. And there we go. Was a bit of a backwards way to get there, but we got there. Oh, nope, can't go that way. Ooh, what's here? Oh, nothing. Okay, it's just a thing. Alright, so there was another quest we could take on while in this area, found over here, which... Okay, so there's another one there. Zipline found there. Okay, I'm gonna travel to this beacon. Oh, wait, no, that's just to a chest that I don't have access to because it's, like, blocked off by, like, magical shit. And there's no, like, rhyme or reason as to why that's blocked off for me. I'm better off teleporting here so then that way I can run across. Then I can use the zip line. Yeah, alright. You half escaped work. Nice work. Do you want me to... Let me get Davrin out. Tosh and... Actually, no, not Tosh. We're gonna go for Davrin and Emmerich. There you go. Crazy to think honey back in the Middle Ages would have been worth as much as gold. Lol. I wonder if it's because they thought beekeeping wasn't like a profession that could be done. I wonder if that was like, do you think beekeepers were worth a lot of money? Or was beekeeping not a thing when that was happening? Alrighty, zipline. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going the right way. Ish. Yes, I'm going the right way because there is a ladder here. Use the champion's essence on roots in the Elvean's heaven. No. Oh, hello.
This could be one of the Evanuris. Might even be Gillenane or Elgranon.
My people thought they were gods. Now, it's a monument to killers.
Alright, hang on. Davrin isn't going to be helping us with this one, so we're going to go with Balara. Sweet Balara. And Emric. Here we go. I think the Nords did beekeeping, but making a sting-proof suit was very difficult. Yeah, fair enough.
This artifact isn't working right. Maybe if I looked at the crystals it's connected to.
Oh, okay. I thought Balara would have something interesting to say about... Oh, the crystals are above me. Never mind. There we go. And then a chest. Not a lot of easy ways to get to where we need. Here's at least one of them.
Take a look, Balara.
Okay, Balara is helping. Did he say a waxing crescent or waning? I didn't catch it. His words come too quickly. He has spent eons waiting to impart his wisdom, and it cannot be contained. A dam finally broken, a deluge of lost knowledge.
The person who set this up was in contact with someone or something from the Fade.
Yoink. Alrighty, so up this way.
I can't believe it. We're meeting after all those letters.
Aw, look at Balara fangirling.
Professor Emric, what should I call you? I mean, with everything you've done, it feels strange to just call you Emric.
Emric is fine, please. We're not in a classroom after all. Far less predictable.
Okay, Emric. Right. I might call you Professor Emric sometimes.
Isn't she sweet? I like her. Alright, and then zipline time. His stories about Arlathan draw me in. Sometimes I forget that I'm supposed to be writing as he speaks. Our legends denounce some of the greatest of the elves, consign them to oblivion. The injustice is galling. He won't be called a forgotten one, and he shouldn't. That fate was forced on him.
Sure thing.
Okay, I don't think I'm supposed to be here precisely. Oh, hey, there's a golden hand here? The hand right. That's kind of funny to read. Oh.
And another Fen'Harel altar.
Nope. Oh, that was bound to happen. Okay. Okay. So we had that working with, like, you know, not much energy, but now we got it working with a super amount of energy. And so, yeah, it gets longer now. Nice. Okay, I get it. I pick up what you're putting down. Oh, nice. Slightly weaker bow, but a greater amount of stagger. The entire party deals an additional 25% damage against Fey Touch enemies. Honestly, yeah, Bronze Badge sounds like a good idea. Promise of Glory. He speaks to me through the veil. I cannot see him or hear him or touch him, but I listen with my soul and my heart responds. I am alone, but I am never alone because he is with me. Vara Shivan, you will be so proud of me. I can't wait to tell you all about it when it is done.
I'm on it.
That's all the crystals. Hopefully that fixes the artifacts.
She whispered something then. Syrian or something like that. Does she know the person that might have been working on this artifact that's causing all these problems? Or that, you know, it's not exactly causing an explicit problem, but it has the potential to cause a problem.
Sure, here we go.
Oh.
That's a person, or it was, and it came out of the Fade.
This magic. It was designed to draw something in, and it's familiar.
Might be best if we stop tampering. The forest will reclaim it.
Someone must perform the ritual while another becomes the vessel. I have agreed to be the latter. I am not proficient in magic. There is just no other choice. If the rite succeeds, I will be different. But know that I will always love you. I do this for us, for our future, for the little ones. Eternally yours, Veilguard. Alright. Yeah. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I was meant to look for, a wolf. I've not yet spotted him yet. Because there's apparently, like, a wolf, like, ghost in this area or something that I've not yet found that I'm looking for. Because, like, that's why we did, like, because Fen'Harel's statue, like, did a whole... There they are! I see it. I see it now. When they make wolf noises, it means we're close. And there we go. Yeah, we already read about that. Nyom. Making our way through the forest. Oh, these things revived. Nice. Alright, so that was one mission done. So yeah, that beacon's available. We've done the wolf there. There's another wolf there, but we're not going to have a really good idea about that one. There's plenty of wolves here, and there's another quest there. So, let's fast travel here and see what it has for us, shall we?
Rook, good job taking care of those darkspawn. We'll keep an eye out for more.
Oh, actually, is there more stuff I could sell that would be beneficial to them? 3, 3, 3. Hey, the Ocularum pedestal is actually useful for them. Nice.
Good luck.
I need to think of what the next hairstyle is for my rook.
I need your help.
Elio, what's wrong?
Oh, interesting that they have like quest lines involving.
Can you help? There are veil jumpers in the forest who have been gone too long. They were searching for relics. With the recent troubles, they could use a protective escort to bring those relics back to camp.
I'll start the search.
And I'll stay here, in case someone shows up.
Flight. Alright. Let's see. Are they close by? Yeah, they're relatively close by. Alrighty. So. Fast travel here.
There it is. That's the Veil Jumper camp.
Oh, Jesus.
That relic just went off. What happened to that Veil Jumper? He was right here. Oh, this isn't good. We need to find him.
And fast. Also, chest. Hang on. There it is. There's the chest. Jump. Yes, please. It is a higher rarity. The stagger may not be as strong, but it still has some pretty decent bonuses. Also, there's a giant chest there I want to get to.
Incredible. Where does all the water come from? The Fae, perhaps? I must remember to take some sun.
One of those magical relics the Veil Jumpers were dealing with must be nearby.
Ow! Fuck.
A spatial anomaly. We can't reach that Veil Jumper unless we find some way around it.
Got it.
One relic down. More to go. Hard to believe these things are causing so much trouble.
Nice. There we go. Okay, so that thing's not gonna activate anytime soon. Okay, so he's not up here. Be somewhere down here instead. Activate you by placing you there. And then, oh, come on, yep, there we go. Nice. That way. Oh, okay. So yeah, because we sorted out that veil, we now can get to him without troubles. There we go. I was chasing after the wrong lead.
You saved me. I'm saved. I was working on the relic and then everything went.
There are others missing.
Yep. All right. So we got a few more to go. Running. Ah. Excuse me. Oh, you're gonna let me? Yep, you're gonna let me up. Cool. Awesome.
Looks like another relic nearby.
I hope you find this. I fear something may happen to me. There have been a presence following me for 2 days. I cannot shake it. Be careful and warn the others.
We're too late.
Darn. But hey, more caretaker points. Gives us more upgrade slots. Yum. Okay, cool. So it wasn't like required for power. No, it wouldn't have been required for powering anything because it was switched off.
Is anyone out there?
Yep.
That's probably one of the missing veil jumpers. Let's get that barrier down. Must be a magical relic causing this.
We're not alone.
Hello, Shibore. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? There we go.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we're gonna
get you out.
There we go. You're existing? Fair enough. Existing's alright. Lord knows I was earlier today. I was working from home, but I'm gonna be real with you. I really wanted a nap. There's been a lot of days where I just want to sleep through the day. I think it's just because of the fact that I'm having like way less energy than normal, and if I you know, use too much in the morning, then it's like, yeah, I kind of want to have a sleep. I like the idea of a nap, especially if it means that, you know, I can still lose weight while I'll just, you know, simply sleeping. Lord knows I want to do it that way. Dink. Mine.
So, does Manfred have, you know, people, thoughts, and feelings?
His self-expression may be limited, but Manfred is as cognizant of his surroundings as you or I. To a certain degree.
Yeah. I imagine that he's, like, tripped over or something. Alrighty.
I bet one of those magical relics is close.
The relic! It's causing magic to go wild! You have to stop it! You gotta move! Deactivate the relic and the barrier goes away. I think.
Yeah, but the question is where's the relic? Because it's not here. At least as far as I can see. Yeah, no, it isn't. So you and I are going to have a little bit of a problem because we don't see this relic that you're talking about. Or at least I don't. No, it's not there. Where could you be? You'd be like up. Oh, there you are.
Sure, here we go.
Got it.
Alright, that should be all of them.
Oh, thank the creators. Did Elio send you? I have to talk to him once I return to camp.
Yeah, no, that wasn't important.
That's everyone. Let's get back to Elio.
Before that, I would like to try and figure out the rest of this map's, like, sort of puzzle for getting that chest. Because I would very much like that chest. So... Damn it. Oh, hello. Well, I found a, spawn thingy-majiggies. So. This thing has... Ah, yes. A gate. Alright, cool. I don't have to spend as much time on a puzzle as I thought. Jump. Jump. Pick you up because you're not helpful for the barrier. You're more helpful over here. And we use this. And we'll do it on this little thingy-majiggy there. And it...
Look at that.
Yeah, no, I'm an idiot. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just simply a himbo. But yeah, we should now be able to get to that chest, and we'll see what it unlocks for us. Normally it's going to be some cool item, or maybe even a rarity increase on one of our existing items. Oh, it looks like there's a guardian here or something. Vulnerable to shock. Yes, please.
Here we go.
There we go. And a crown of leaves or something? Interesting. Hey, and we got ourselves some more Veil Jumper strength, so that was good. Alright, what do you give us? Ooh. An Iron Veil, a unique light helmet. When an enemy dies, it spawns an apparition that attacks nearby enemies, dealing necrotic damage. Oh, hell yeah! And the fuck is this? Oh.
They interrupt, as predicted.
A message torn. There's something wrong with these circles. Well, I call them circles, but we've never found a complete one. Just enough pieces to tell us it was probably a circle once. Being near them makes my skin crawl. My keeper told me they're just the artifact of the old days, of Elverens, but I know they aren't. He tells me that some of the elves, the Forgotten Ones, and those who followed them, were evil. So, some of what they made must be evil too, and that's be the source of my discomfort. But there's a difference between evil and wrong, and these things are wrong. I need to find one that's still intact. Maybe I'll ask Taryn to come with me. Sounds good, sounds good.
As expected.
Ooh, hello.
As hoped.
What was that?
Learn. Adapt. Triumph.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. Thank you, Bear fucking Grylls. I didn't realize there was an Evanurus equivalent of Bear Grylls in this fucking world. Thank you. Good to know your memes are still alive to this day. Live to fight another day. Wee.
The fight ahead.
Knew you could do it, Rook.
Easy. Alrighty. We can probably just head straight back, I would say? Yeah, because I'm not going to do the Fenharel wolves. They're not exactly an easy one to do. So, we'll deal with this. And we'll move on.
Do we have the latest scouting report?
Sup?
I found most of your friends, but one didn't make it. I'm sorry.
We all know the risks, but it's still difficult when someone gets hurt. There's one last relic out there we never found. If you come across it, be careful. I think someone's meddling with the magic in Arlethan.
I'll try to be safe.
Sounds good. Apply to the Veil Jumpers. Hey, we get our bond increases, and Emmerich gets a new bond, which means he gets new abilities. Nice. Final rites. Emmerich summons an envoy of the dead, which explodes in a blast of necrotic energy. Applies necrosis on hit. Detonation. Increased damage against enemies or increases. Damage from the second hit increases by 25%. The summon skill deal damage a second time to the initial target. To entangle and hinder your enemies, dealing a large amount of stagger. On critical hit, applies necrosis. On critical hit, applies chilled. Necrosis is a lot more beneficial to me than chilled right now. And what's this one? Oh, I can't unlock it, unfortunately. Alrighty, let's see, did Davrin have anything for us? No, but it looks like he has a new P. Yep, sure, sounds good. And then Belara had abilities. Let's go. Okay, so I did a lot of diversifying with her abilities, but let's keep to the gravitational tear thing. So it does an increase to the armors. Leave behind a hazard that deals 50 electrical every second to enemies caught within it. The effect lasts 6 seconds. When the tear closes, a shockwave deals 150. I'd rather go with that one. Grasp of the Beyond. Sounds cool. Alright. Ooh, Emmerich, you do not have a keepsake, but don't worry, we'll find one. And then that was his death beacon, but now we've used Guardian of the Abyss here. Harding doesn't have anything new. Lucanus has 2 abilities. I want to... there we go. So we can't increase... So we full healthed him. So we filled up that one. He can do Oh, he can do healing. Okay. Maybe it's worth getting healing from him? What's this one? Deals the targeting an enemy's weakest point. At health level, this deals bonus damage, increasing its effectiveness the closer the enemy is to death. Sweeps with demonic strength. High barrier damage and implies knockdown to people in the area. Adds an extra hit, dealing 150%. Damage against the barrier. Cooldown is decreased. We only have 2 points, though. When activated, also grants deflect. When activated, also grants shocking. When activated, also grants precision. I like the idea of deflect, honestly. So maybe I put soothing potion as a thing. Honestly, that might be a good idea, especially since I don't really have Nev to do the healings anymore. So yeah, like, she's now locked out of all that. And... alright. Wait, why can't I acquire it? Ah, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And then Tarsh has 2 points. What's this one? Spitfire? Fire Breath. Dragon Strike. Let's go with the Dragon Strike. There we go. Oh yeah, she's got an emerald horn as like a attachment thing. So she got Treasure and Neckbreaker. Good names. Has anyone got points I didn't assign? No. Cool. I have points I haven't assigned. I have 5. I have plenty I could use. And I could go down, like, the Evoker thing with the Shadow Dragon. The Shadow Dragon Evoker uses ice to control the battlefield. I'm not using ice all that often. I do like the Spellblade, though. And then what's the Death Caller? Okay, so maybe... I think I've been doing a thing where I've been, like, gathering around the ability. So yeah, there's a firewall here. Abilities that apply... So yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll, like, go, like, in a direction. Mana restored after defeat... Oh yeah, no, I want to unlock that, actually. And then this was... Tempest. Costing 2. I wanted to, like... Physical resistance... While wearing a medium helmet and armor, critical thingamadiggies. Perfect defense grants shocking weapons. I want benefits for using the medium armor. So that gives me a storm surge. And then greater eater. Performing a takedown grants 250. Okay. Penetration. And then we've got a wall of fire. Each second they remain inside the wall. Increasing necrotic damage. Executing a detonation on an enemy grants shocking weapon. While wearing a different classification of helmet and armor. Okay, so... Neat. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like, do a little, like, ring around here. Because I don't think there's a limit to how many skill points I can get. It is honestly, like, especially since they're going to do a thing of, like, oh, then there's these areas where you can only, like, you know, you can only hold on to, like, 1 of 3. And it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So I imagine what, like, is supposed to happen is, like, you can kind of spread how you want. But then, yeah, you can go into there. So yeah, we've got Shadow Dragon, Morn Watch, and in the Antivan Crows. Interesting. And here's my character. So, slowly but surely, he's grabbing some different stuff. Because I still like the dagger that I'm currently using. I could swap to the Ice Cold, but I don't know if I'm going against anything that benefits from the cold just yet. This is honestly just a good helmet. And yeah, there's things in my quest log. So we still got main story quests to do here. I've got another thing with Lucanus. Rivian. I got to defeat a champion at Docktown. Discover what's disturbing the Wisps over at the Necropolis Hall. There's something happening over at the Wetlands. A lot of things happening over at the Wetlands. Travel to hospital via the crawler fast travel.
Nani?
Hi there, Bun Print. This is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Let me just head over back to, like, so yeah, there's, like, hang on, let me go, like, all the way back to the lighthouse, shall we? Welcome, welcome. How's it going? I will be real with you, I probably should think about, like, disconnecting at one point, however, because I am going to be awake again tomorrow morning for some more Final Fantasy XIV. The critically acclaimed MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV, complete with a free trial. So, like, yeah, I'm probably going to disconnect. Oh, yeah, you can now buy enchantments.
Life returns to the lighthouse.
Maximum level can now be, like, 6 for my stuff, which is pretty decent. And it looks like Tarsh has a quest for me, but I am going to actually call it here. I'm keeping that full party unlock thingy-majiggy as, like, a... So then that way it's, like, available for me to roll back to in case I've done any, like, fuck-ups and what have you. But I think we are gonna go end the stream here. Stop raids for the next hour. Hit play. Shortcuts are not working. Oh, wait, no, shortcuts did work. It's just, you know, the song was done. It's not a mobile game. It's like a full-blown PC game. I'm honestly enjoying it. I'm not too sure if about the visuals, like, here and there, especially when it comes to characters from the past, like Isabella. But I'm liking the characters that we're getting most recently. Emmerich is personally my fave, and Bellara is no doubt going to be a... Thank you for the follow, Bun Prince. I really appreciate it. I will be back online... I'm going to be back online tomorrow morning, so in about 12 hours, I'm actually going to be awake again, and I'm going to be playing through Final Fantasy XIV, because I've got patch content story to go through, and knowing Velk, if he sees me online streaming Final Fantasy XIV, he'll probably want me to try and do some Savage content, because I've actually gone through the... I've already gone through the Alliance and normal raid at the normal levels, and I finally got my armor up to, like, item level 720 or something like that, so he's probably going to want me to do a Savage if I have the time. But yeah, otherwise, let's go have a look and see who is online and who we can go and raid. Let's see... Kaizi looks to be playing much further into Dragon Age the Veilguard than I am, so I'm gonna have to avoid them. Let's see. Oh, you know who's someone I haven't raided into, like, a really long time? Scribbly Noodle. Let's see. If I go to raid channel, it's probably gonna... The default raid channel is going to recommend to me all these people who are in the middle of playing Dragon Age the Veilguard. So, and some of them are, like, further ahead than me right now. But let's have a look at following. And... Are they on my list? Catching up on 7.1. PNG brain dead. Zafar. Oh, Zafar is doing some Fortnite. Do we want to go for Zafar? Do we want to go for... Nah, let's have a... Actually, you know what? Let's not go for someone we're following. Let's have a look. Oh, it's giving me an entirely different list of people to raid into when I remove that tag. The Mighty J-Mac. Who is this? We finished this for real, the Nostalgia November. They look to be farther ahead than I am, so that's not ideal. I guess everyone that's going through Dragon Age the Veilguard is further ahead than I am. Bedazzle? Alright, hang on, let me... So... B-D-A-Z-Z-L-E. Oh yeah, I've raided into them before. Yeah, they're like a fat little Yoshi kind of creature. Yeah, I've raided into them before. It looks like they're going through some Red Dead Redemption 2. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go raid into Bedazzle. Fuck it. Let's go raid into Bedazzle, and it's going to be a short and sweet himbo raid message. It's not going to be the long one. So I'm going to use the dad bod one because that's my most recent GIF. If you've got a, your own sort of emote that you would like to use for the himbo raid, you're welcome to do so as well. And yeah, that's going to be it for me tonight. I will be back online in 12 hours for more of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, complete with a free trial. And otherwise, thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I hope it was an enjoyable stream for all of you, and otherwise, I'll say goodnight to everyone. I will probably be picking up Dragon Age next week as well, no doubt, on Monday. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow morning, but otherwise, I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.